Welcome to you all. I hope you're well. I hope you're well rested. I hope you're healthy. I hope you're safe. I hope you're sane. I know it's a rough time. I wanted to share with you one step at a time. One step at a time. To me, that is just the best advice for us all, one step at a time. So we're going to do that together. I have so much new information for you. So I want to get that started. So I hope everybody's situated. You've got your coffee, your tea, your smoothie. You've done your jumping jacks and your push-ups, and you're ready to maybe leave the week behind you and get settled, get reorganized this weekend. And hopefully this will help you out. This is me. I'm Dr. Amy Morgenstern, and I'm founder and CEO of Blue Stars Admissions Consulting. It's our 10th year anniversary. I work with an incredibly creative and intelligently strategic team. And I've been working with this team for quite some time. And we really enjoy the work that we do in helping students become more self-reliant, more confident, so that when they get to college, they are more self-possessed and more organized. So we've got some really great results this year, and very excited about that, very excited for our students. Okay, this is today's agenda. I will talk for about 20 minutes. I hope I don't go longer. There is a lot, but we'll see. I will talk fast if I can. We'll get some Q&A in there as well. And then I will be here again next Saturday and for at least the next 4 weeks. Next Saturday, we're going to talk about how to explore colleges online. So this is something Blue Stars has been doing for a decade with our students. So when we work on a school list, we have a whole organized program on how to explore them. And we do this with students sometimes before they visit schools, and we do it after they visit schools because they don't necessarily get the information that they need from school visits. So what I'm hoping to do is do like a case study and walk you through how you can really get a lot of information online. And this will be helpful for seniors who are still making their decision, and also for juniors who are just starting to create their school list. So if you do this research first before you apply, first of all, your applications will be much stronger because you know the schools better and you know like deeper things about the schools. You know things beyond the marketing presentation. So I'm going to devote, or at least reserve some time next Saturday for that. I'll also be giving you whatever updates you need to hear. Saturday after next, I'm really excited to have a guest panelist with me, Sally Wu. She will talk to you about college finances. So she's really great. She's worked with some of our clients who are very, very pleased with her work. Okay, let's do this. Let's get through this together. So I am just basically paying attention to my inbox and attending several webinars a week and aggregating, gathering all this information for you. So here are our topics, and let's get started. Impact on current seniors. First of all, will campuses return to normal in the fall? They are entertaining the following options at the moment. Possibly fall would be online, but they would need to know by June or July. Possibly there's a delayed opening with a compressed fall semester. Possibly there's a low residency option with students cycling through and being tested. Or possibly there would be a smaller student body with students who've tested positive for COVID-19 attending while the rest of the students join remotely. So, but they don't know, everybody's just waiting and seeing, but I thought it would be a good idea for you guys to have a picture of what the options might be. And of course, the burning question is, will college cost the same if instruction is online? And CFOs are working this out now. So it will depend on, first, on how outfitted they already are for online education. So University of Arizona, for example, is already outfitted for online education. So their prices might not drop in the way another schools might, if, I don't know, okay. They also need to see how the $14 billion in coronavirus relief that's coming from Congress, how that's going to be dispersed, how that will affect their bottom line. And they'll be looking at the size and the makeup of their endowment. So again, stay tuned. But I want you to know that these discussions are happening. There isn't like a black hole in admissions. Like, people are actively trying to solve problems. And it's fascinating to me, at least as someone in the field. So if you are a current senior and you need to decide among a variety of schools, how do you do that now? So what I wanted to do, this isn't news, this is my recommendations, my advice, this is the kind of work that we do at Blue Stars. We've been having some conversations with students trying to think through their schools, and I find that students, they're looking at things like location, they're looking at things like climate, they're not necessarily looking at the deepest things that will matter the most when they actually are at that college. So here are some of our recommendations, and we'll walk you through this next week. First of all, look at your intended major or department. Look at that at each college and map out how the 4 years might go. Really try and picture it. Okay, you might change your major. I mean, that can happen. But map out what you think you're going to do now at each of the schools and do a sort of comparison chart. Check out the faculty. Who will you be studying with? And I know from my college experience, which was very, very special, what was super special about it was falling in love with my teachers. I mean, that's one of the best parts of college, is meeting your mentors, meeting these people who will affect your life so profoundly. So who might these people be, Go check them out. They're there online. What facilities will you be using? What kinds of labs or performance spaces, for example? Check that out. Look for the cool minors, look for certificates, look for programs that might add to your primary study. And these little touches, they're really different at each school. So this is one way where you can start to differentiate schools. Look at department newsletters. You'll get more specific information there. And seek out the social media of clubs, sports, activities of interest, and faculty for a presentation of the school that's less filtered by marketing. That's often the problem, or a bit of the stumbling block with online research, is that when you Google like a school, you get their marketing presentations. So, if you're a singer and you think you'll, be doing something artistic for extracurriculars, if you're into, for example, intramurals, for example, I would suggest that go look up the teams, go look up the people, because then you'll get a more honest, sense of things. And then last, participate in those virtual visits. So you can give them a call, you can sign up for Skype conversations. So check out the virtual visits and see what's being offered there. And that will give you a much clearer picture. Okay, moving on to impact on current juniors. The AP exams will be taking place May 11th through the 22nd. Worldwide, everyone is taking the exam at the same time. Okay, so that does mean that people in Asia will be called upon to take the exam in the middle of the night. And this decision was based on 97% of test takers being able to take the exam during the day. So that's just how they've organized it this time. There's going to be a typing sample before you take the test, and they're going to compare that with the test that you take. They're also going to be doing plagiarism checks, and they're going to release the exams to your AP teacher to check for consistency. So as you can see, they're putting in a lot of stopgaps, and cheating will not be tolerated. So, okay. The list of test optional schools grows almost every day. So now it includes Middlebury, Haverford, and Babson, for example, and I have a list in the resource sheet for you. The June SAT is still up in the air. The ACT news is exactly the same as last week. The April 4th is rescheduled to June 13th. July is scheduled. They're adding more tests. And I know also here the burning question is, how will colleges evaluate applicants who took the SAT or ACT versus those who didn't at these newly test optional schools? And they don't know yet. So I know that's not a satisfactory answer, but again, I just want to mark for you that these discussions are taking place, and I will report on developments. But again, for me, it's very interesting to see rapid response problem solving. It's instructional. So given what we know now about the current situation, and given that we work with a lot of students who are aiming for a top 30 school, if not a top 20 school, we work with all sorts of students, but we do also work with very competitive students. So this is where we're landing right now on the situation. We think that you should take a few exams at home under simulated conditions and try to do as well as you can, because you really can't create an accurate school list without it. You know, just because Middlebury or Tufts is going test optional, it's not a free-for-all. It might be a little more random than usual, but it's also not a free-for-all. So you still need an accurate school list, and your SAT, ACT, along with your class grades, along with your extracurriculars. So looking at that constellation is what is going to help you create that school list. And if you score well and you're aiming for a top 30 school, you should totally take the SAT or ACT, because the top 20 schools, they will still require it next year. Okay. So there's been talk in webinars about supplemental essays becoming more important, because this is how they're going to get to know you in terms of what each school is looking for. And again, another burning question, will you be writing about COVID-19? Should you write about it? Well, Gazelle Martin from Emory University says, first of all, just be true to yourself. Whatever you write about, be true to yourself and share beyond the surface level. And of course, that's the work we do with our students, from brainstorming to free writing to iterations of revisions. You get to be true to yourself when you start to work through things, and that's why starting to draft early in June or July is also a really great idea. But anyway, I found this to be super interesting. The discussion of an essay prompt added to the Common App on the coronavirus for every applicant to answer. This way, no one will be wondering whether you should answer that question. So I feel like it's maybe still on the level of rumor, so like don't quote me too much. But it was, you know, spoken of in a webinar. But I'm interested in this, and I will definitely I already have thoughts about it. Like I already have advice. So if that happens, I will definitely devote some time to talking about some of my thoughts on approaching that prompt. So this is not news. This is more of my guidance in terms of how I think current juniors should be organizing their time, not necessarily in the order that I have, but doing the first 4 bullet points now, really sort of parallel processing, multitasking. First of all, working on summer plans. So we recommend some form of online instruction. So whether it be at a community college or a summer program a student has applied to, been accepted to, online high school, at Coursera, something where their time is structured and they are doing some academic advancement, using that time for academic advancement. Absolutely volunteering. And then projects, independent or collaborative, that are outside of a formal program. We have one student who's now doing musical YouTube videos with his brother. Adorable, super fun. You know, you can do volunteering types of things. You can do types of things where you're exploring your talents, where you're taking risks. And his project, he really had to start to think through the engineering of sound and miking things. And so it became, you know, a project that was not just about music, but it's about sound production as well. That was really exciting for me to see him puzzling through things. So these kinds of projects are, can be very valuable. So different kinds of activities that serve or contribute to personal growth. And you see that I am indicating here, not led by mom or dad. Obviously, you're all at home together. You should do things together for sure. But maybe your teen can lead. Maybe your child can lead. Because we're getting a lot of, in some of our meetings with students, well, my mom told me, my mom said to. That's not going to translate into a competitive application for admissions. So how can we let teens lead and come up with things and guide them in their organizational journey? Let's think about that. So teens, you should also be exploring colleges and creating that best fit school list by July. You should be doing your virtual research and getting involved in virtual visits, and we'll talk more about that next week. You should be preparing for your AP exams. You should be doing some practice SAT or ACT so you can get that ballpark score for yourself. In June, you can start to think about your essays. Okay. So just some reminders here that we do have that free college planning workbook, and the first 2 chapters can be really helpful for teens. So the first chapter deals with the 7 key traits. So again, when you're thinking about, I had, you know, plans A, B, and C, I can't do those things now. How do I choose new things? Well, do they demonstrate these traits? And also, if you look to the right of my slide here, and I got this from Jeff Salingo, who's an educational thought leader, and I follow his work. And so you see this slide is from a Burning Glass study on the top 5 skills in job postings, and you see the circle in the middle, that's Excel. And the rest are organizational skills, planning, being detail-oriented, communication and writing skills, customer service, problem-solving skills. So these are the kinds of things that students really need to show in their applications. And even while we're sheltering in place, your students can come up with ideas that display these things or challenge them to do these things. So even, you know, the example of the student who did the music video, that challenged his organizational skills. It challenged his communication skills, planning, problem solving, all of those things. So, you know, if you just think about things in terms, maybe less in terms of achievements, we've been trained to think about competitive admissions in terms of achievements. If you think about maybe in terms of the qualities that they radiate, that will be very helpful for this time. Here is a statement from Yale University trying to show that they understand that everyone is in the same boat and everybody's plans have been foiled. So I'll just read that to you really quickly. We recognize that many students will need to take on additional responsibilities at home or at a family business during this time. Yale's application platform provides ample space to provide contextual information that can help the committee understand the factors that shaped students' opportunities and commitments. Rest assured that Yale will take each student's unique context into account when reviewing applications. No student will be penalized because of a change in commitments or a change to plans because of the outbreak. So I hope that calms the nerves a bit. So this is where we are right now on attending summer programs that have gone online. So, we've got students who have been accepted to all sorts of summer programs, and they've been asking us, and this is what we feel. We feel that pretty much we're saying, yes, you should. And why? Because it shows recognition of being accepted and participating in a formal program. It also provides an opportunity to do something beyond the classroom, so that will boost your profile and essays. It allows students to meet new people, which I'm assuming would be quite welcome, right, by the summer. And it gives them something organized to do, which I'm assuming would be quite welcome for parents. So here's some advice from admissions professionals. Christina Wong Davis, she's the Vice Provost for Enrollment Management at Purdue. Don't take this as an excuse to slack off. We've also been meeting a bunch of students this week who are on spring break. So they're on spring break after a week of or 2 weeks of sheltering in place. And, I'm trying hard not to be that jerk, in their life. And sometimes I even say that to them, but I'm like, come on, wake up, wake up. So here we're hearing it, from Vice Provost at Purdue. From Gazelle Martin, Director of Recruitment and Talent at Emory, use this time as your playground. I love that. And I feel like the student who did that music video, it's just, yeah, he did that. And admissions officers will recognize that, among many other things he's going to do. Also from Gazelle Martin, an SAT is not what gets you admitted. It's the spirit of your humanity. So I thought that was really, very poignant and a very clear message. So I hope you take that with you. Ultimately, admissions readers are going to want to know, why did you do things? So again, a lot of the people I talk to are very achievement oriented, and they like to tell me what they achieved. But admissions officers are really, they're going to know why, want to know why. Why have you made the academic choices you made in high school? Why are you involved in the activities you are? Why do you surround yourself with the friends you do? Why do you want to go to college? Why is earning a degree important for you? And also, of course, given the world we live in, what problems do you want to solve? Okay, and I've provided these resources in the resource page. So be thinking about that. Just a few questions that I didn't respond to, I didn't have the answers to. And last week, there was a question about music and the competitiveness of conservatory admissions. And honestly, there just isn't a lot known at the moment. But I did find from a colleague in my network that nothing has changed for recent admits and decision day is the same. It's possible that more students will come off wait lists than usual. And it's too early to say right now. So, but I'll let you know. Athletics. People ask me about athletics, and I am linking you to a video in my resource sheet. A very detailed video, is really excellent. So basically, it's thought that the academic changes during the pandemic will not affect recruitment for most juniors. It could possibly favor students who would not have scored very high on the SAT or ACT, who are very talented athletes, because of the test optional situation. One thing that incoming freshmen might want to consider, also juniors who are applying this year, is that freshmen are going to get less playing time because there's going to be more fifth-year players because of the outbreak. So fifth-year players, older players, they'll get more playing time. So there'll be more older players for the next year or so. If you are looking at camps, research the camps to make sure that they're not mere money makers for the school. Make sure the coach actually shows up to the camps. If you are a junior or a sophomore, contact coaches now. Or a freshman, contact coaches now. You can still get to know them now. In fact, they're home. And the recommendation is write them, and if you don't hear back from them in 5 days, write them again, wait another 5 days, write them again, wait another 5 days, give a call. So that's the advice. And I've got that video for you. Okay, so if you're not on my mailing list, if you're new to Blue Stars, please email me. And I will get you on the list and send you these resources. If not, I will send these with the recorded video. And now it's time for Q&A. So I am going to switch. So do you have a list of the top 30 schools that has been posted? Basically, I just go with the US News and World Report list. It's just a guide. So and I think that there are issues with the methodology for US News and World Report, and I'm not someone who creates a school list just based on those rankings at all. So, but when I say top 30 or top 50, it's shorthand for the US News and World Report. Good. Are there any other questions? Has Stanford gone test optional? No. We don't think the top 20 schools. Do I think students will be able to live in dorms in the fall? I just don't know. You know, I gave you those 4 options that came from Jeff Salingo. So it's possible. Let me see if I can let me see if I can share my screen again. These 4 scenarios here that the fall would totally go online, and I think that's the least preferred option. They're trying for that not to happen, that there be that delayed opening with a compressed fall semester, or it would be low residency cycling through, or with that, you know, that sort of hybrid model with students who've tested positive, they can attend, and the students, the rest, they, you know, so yeah, that's all I know right now. That is absolutely all I know right now. Let me see. Anything else? Any other questions here? Okay. SAT is not sure yet. Can I share the link to Emery's web too? Yes, that was a link that was with Jeff Salingo, interviews a variety of admissions professionals. I think there's a recording, and if there's a recording, I will definitely share that. Do we have any clarity on summer programs? It's program by program, and I just think we're going to be hearing more soon. Okay, here we go. Some district is doing credit, no credit grade this semester. How should juniors respond given that some schools only allow weighted courses? Let's think through this question a bit. Give me a minute here. How should juniors respond given that some schools only allow weighted courses starting in the junior year? Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but the course will be recorded. So the course will be recorded for the junior year, and it will be shown. I mean, also, you know what the people from the AP were saying, like, you know, basically you've had like 2/3 of the instruction of those courses. So I don't know exactly how they're going to treat weighted, unweighted, but when you do a holistic review, admissions officers actually like look at the title of every class. And they have a metric. Every school, every university creates its own like common metric to think through the GPA. So I think they're thinking through all of these things, but generally, as I said last week, the fall semester senior year is going to be more important than the spring semester junior year. Have I heard more about some classes are pass-fail. Some schools are going pass-fail and some schools are not. So, okay, how should you address this with colleges? If your A becomes a P? Yes. Also, we have students who have already done very well in standardized tests, and a lot of schools are going test optional. So this is where additional information is your place. This is your friend. This is your important real estate, I like to say. And in the Common App, you have 650 words. UC, you have 500 words. Coalition, I don't know off the top of my head, but we can find out. And this is the place where we have a student, a sophomore. His grades were rising in his sophomore year, and he was so proud, and then his school is pass-fail and sort of felt like the bottom's like dropping out, And what we said to him is, we'll totally put this in additional information. And of course, admissions officers are going to be more careful about context because they don't have the standard measures. So they will be looking at additional information. This question is now making me realize, and I will put this in a presentation next week, in the coming weeks, but additional information will become a more important space for applicants. Let me continue to go through. If that was not satisfactory, let me know, write me an email. Will the GPA be put on more weight for students for the GPA in the senior year, if that's what you're talking about? I'm not sure I understand that question. Maybe you can clarify that one. Oh, do I love this question. Are colleges focusing on this pandemic being a one-time disruption, or might this trigger a bigger paradigm shift? And Helen and I just chatted briefly about this last week, and I didn't go back and research this, but college admissions was certainly disrupted during the 1918 pandemic, during World War I and World War II. Did those signal paradigm shifts in admissions? I would have to, do some research. I'm not sure I could do a rapid response on that one, but very interesting question. I think different sorts of societal factors create shifts in admissions. So for example, just in the 2010s, there have been shifts in admissions in terms of focusing less on the student as like an individual leader and more as a collaborator, things like that. So there will be paradigm shifts. I track paradigm. There's definitely been a paradigm shift really between the 20th and the 21st century in admissions. So in the 20th century, and in the 2000s too, the idea was, oh, if I have good grades, if I score well and I have many talents, I will get into a top 30 school. And now it's just because of societal conditions, things have really changed so much. And I like to say that admissions is less like a talent scout now, and it's more, or talent search, but more like almost not quite like a job application, but it's more pre-professional than talent based, if that makes sense. I can elaborate that. But this is a really good question, and I don't know, I'll be focusing on it. EAED. Well, that's a really good question. How, if you are, I don't know. I don't know how. So the question is, for early decision, how can I say that fall semester, senior year will be more important if you are applying early decision or early admission? That's by November 1st. So what I will say is that whatever that student does by November 1st has to be like really solid. Really, really solid. I think it's going to be an interesting question individually as to whether students should apply early admission or decision this year. And that, will have to do with, I think that will have to do with what they've already done, and also, quite frankly, what they are doing with their time now. Are they, YouTubing, or are they sewing masks? Another student of ours is sewing masks, and I believe she's created a business and, she's been giving them to friends and family and then created a little business around them, So I think that will be a piece as well. I don't have a definite answer on that. There is a contradiction there. How can that fall semester senior be so important if you're going EAED? I will try and ask around. It might be like a month before there's some clarity around this. So I guess my feeling is that, checking out the slides that I gave you on the 7 key traits and the different skills, and then, really thinking, creatively and strategically about all the different things from online instruction to individual projects to serving, the combination of those things. And if there's already a strong academic record, I might suggest a student applies early. Ability to pay is another factor in terms of early admission this year, because that will be looked at more favorably at schools. It just will. Okay, I think there's one last question. Any resources you can suggest which we can share with teens to help motivate them to do more during this time? Schools seem to dial back a lot on coursework. Netflix. This is such a great question, and what we've been doing, what we've been doing with our students is we create schedules. In fact, I did get authorization from a student who has an awesome schedule. This is a math, computer science student. He did create a weekly schedule. I did not yet get authorization from his parents to share it, so I'm going to ask them first. And if I do, I'm going to share that schedule. So at least I think if students have a model of what something can look like, and they can try to start to conform to a schedule, that could be most helpful. I do get a lot in my feed and my emails about how to relate to your children, how to motivate your children, from the parents' place and things like that. I just honestly have not been able to get to them with all the other information that's been going around, but I will try and gather some resources for you on that. And maybe I'll just do an email on that or something like that. So thank you for that. We did put out an email with a list of volunteering opportunities, and we did put out an email with a list of creative ideas. So maybe if there's the schedule and then the creative ideas, if a wall calendar, this is something we really encourage at any time, but really visually mapping things is so helpful. It's really so helpful. And I do maybe make another plug for my free college planning workbook, because it was a labor of love. I wrote it, and I wrote it to give both parents and teens a picture. So at the very end, there's that 4-year timeline, which of course it's not a coronavirus timeline, but it's a 4-year timeline. And if you read through it, and maybe you read through it with your teen, just to see, get a sense of the level of activity that's expected, and then start working up to it. That's how I would start to think about it. But let me look for more resources for you and get back to you. Next week's email will be on medical care workers, in praise of medical care workers, with resources for how to explore careers in the medical field. So we're going to continue to also try to give you resources. So structure plus resources, reward. We have one mom who turns off the internet every hour and has to get a good reason to get it turned on again. So I don't know if I should end with that suggestion, but maybe just lots of different ways of getting teens to think through changing habits. So I hope that has been helpful. Next week, we'll definitely be doing an online school exploration. We'll demo that for you. Week after that, Sally Wu will be talking about financing college, and more topics will come up as things develop. So thank you so much for attending, and I will talk to you next week. Take care. Have a great week.